This is my EOS R, and I know it's kind of an old stills camera, but it can shoot video. I've said this about photography before, and it applies just as much to video. A camera doesn't tell the truth, it records decisions. The lens you choose, if you shoot wide open or close, where you stand, how you expose, every one of those decisions shapes your story before you even press record. So specs like resolutions, bit depth, or codec are just a container. They are not the decisions. The decisions are where the story actually lives. People talk about photography as if it captures the reality, but they don't. The moment you choose a lens, it alters that reality. The moment where you decide where to stand and choose what the viewer needs to see, that means that you already altered the reality. So when I see something that the EOS R can't do, I try to ask one question: which decisions are actually in my control? And it turns out that almost all of them. Let me be specific about what I am actually working with, because just saying that it's an old camera, it's not actually an argument. The EOS R shoots 8-bit video. That means less color information that you can pull on the edit. It also means less room for error while you're shooting if you mess something up. It also crops the sensor when you're shooting in 4K. That changes your effective focal length, and it can change a little bit how depth is perceived. This can be fixed a little bit if you're using a focal reducer, but it's something to take in mind. Also, slow motion is limited. I don't have the option to shoot 120 FPS to get that beautiful slow motion footage. And in low light, noise tends to creep up a lot sooner than in newer cameras. This doesn't mean that the footage is gonna be ruined, but it means that I can't be careless when I am just shooting video in low light. Those are real concerns. They are not imaginary. A while back, I shot a video for a restaurant entirely with the EOS R. And if I remember correctly, I didn't even shoot vlog. I think I shot like normal standard profile, just because I didn't want to overthink or to try to fix things in post. I tried to shot everything in camera well. And in DaVinci Resolve, I just used some of the built-in LUTs and the video looked great. It wasn't just good for an old camera, it was good, professional. The kind of footage that a client sees and loves it. And this is because the client is not thinking about the gear itself. And that's what most of the people miss. If you have a professional camera that has all the bezel whistles, but it's not well exposed, it's not lit correctly, that footage is going to be beat by an old camera that it's exposed correctly, lit correctly, and has the story. The crop factor didn't stop me from shooting a good video. I just had to choose my lenses correctly. The noise ceiling didn't stop me from using this camera also. It just meant that I need to be a little bit more deliberate with how I shoot it and at what time I was shooting, instead of relying on the camera to bail me out in the dark. Nobody that has ever hired me has asked me what camera I am using. Sometimes it can come out in a conversation, but just out of curiosity, not in a way of criticizing my work or the quality of it. The client care about whether it looked professional, if I shot their restaurant well or hotel or whatever I'm shooting, and if the video looked like they wanted it to look. The spec sheet of the camera is invisible to them. It doesn't exist. It doesn't mean anything to them. But the decisions I made to shoot those videos are what matter. And I know it's hard to admit, but it's easier to blame a camera than to blame yourself for the quality of your work. If you are blaming your camera, you are avoiding responsibility for all the decisions that you are making. Because buying gear feels like progress. It can feel like you're gonna get better with it. And learning composition or lighting or color means hard work. So just saying I need a better camera, it can become an excuse, a reason to not learn your craft. And I've done it myself. I've thought about buying the newest gear just because I think that it's gonna make my work better. You know, everybody says this, like, if I had a better camera with higher ISOs or better dynamic range or better sound quality, no noise or a specific color science, that will make my work look better. And honestly, I was just saying a lie to myself. So the fix was in making the decisions that I had control over. And I've talked about this feeling in photography too. If you say, I want to shoot portraits, but I only have a wide angle lens, well, the answer is not to stop until you can afford an 85mm 1.2 or a 70-200 2.8 to shoot those portraits. The reality is that you can shoot portraits with your lens, even if it's wide. You can shoot quirky portraits. You can shoot tighter. You can shoot environmental portraits, which is one of the things that a wide angle lens is good at. The limitation pushes you somewhere you might have not gone otherwise. And with video it's no different. The EOS R pushed me to simpler lighting, more deliberate framing, and a more deliberate exposure. Those are habits that make me a better shooter no matter what camera I am using. I'm not telling you that gear doesn't matter. It actually does. And for the record, I own another camera. It's an R50V. The reason I bought it wasn't because it had better specs in video than the EOS R. It was so I can shoot photo and video at the same time, because some clients require that. So instead of just switching the body to photo and video, I prefer to have two. It wasn't because the EOS R was holding my videos back. And if I upgrade this body in the future, I'm not gonna pretend that it's not gonna help. Yes, one day I'm gonna buy a new camera. It'll have more dynamic range, better autofocus, better codecs, better low light performance, better everything. But that camera still won't make the decisions that make my work good. It won't decide where the light should fall. It won't decide where I should stand. It won't decide what's important in the frame. And it won't decide when the moment actually happens. Because those things were never the camera's job. It's my job to know those things. But you should know where your camera's limits are. Because everything else, the lighting, the framing, the timing, the story you are choosing to tell, that was never the camera's job to begin with. That was your job. And that's usually where the actual work is.